Hey everyone, this is Jacob. This is an interview with Mark Kresic, Miljenko Kresic, my grandfather, that I did with my cousin Alex Kresic last April of 2025. You'll also see my grandmother, Ava Kresic, in this interview. We weren't set up to have her join us, but she ended up bumbling around a bit and chiming in. And I apologize for the low audio quality on her voice and the lack of really being able to capture her on video. Ava passed away last summer of 2025, and I'm sad that I wasn't able to or didn't prioritize sitting down with her one-on-one to talk about her life before she passed. I'll say too that Mark wrote a history of his life as well as did an interview with the American Holocaust Museum, both of which provide a lot of context for what we talk about in this interview. We mainly intended this for friends and family. So if you happen to have found this and you want more context, you can follow the link below to the Holocaust Museum interview, where you'll get more information about the different family members and the sequence of events of his experiences during the Holocaust, during World War II in Croatia. And in his written history, you can find more details about the various friends and family members and characters of his life that we ask about in this interview. My grandmother also wrote a personal history as well as did an interview with the American Holocaust Museum, and those are available. I'll put the links for the Holocaust Museum interviews in the description, and if you want access to the written histories and don't have them, you can reach out to me. And yeah, I hope you find this interview illuminating and interesting, and I hope you enjoy.
Look at me. I like to look at you.
We needn't be strangers. I know who you are.
Oh, yeah?
Mr. Deda, yes.
Mr. Deda. Do you know that my middle name, they told me, was Alexander, and I never used it, and I officially...
No, I had actually no idea.
I didn't know that.
It's already interesting.
Yeah.
I don't
Who
know.
told you that?
I don't know. Some time ago,
Yeah.
maybe my parents at that time, I don't know, maybe my aunt. For some reason, I remember that. Alexander. Why Alexander? Who knows? Maybe by King Alexander of Yugoslavia.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Who was assassinated in, I don't know, in Paris or Marseille.
I think in Paris, but
I don't know.
first assassination caught on film, which is a
Yeah,
dubious thing to,
yeah.
you know.
I don't know, but anyway.
So you just found out that you're the namesake of Data.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently he knew.
Yeah.
You knew. You just didn't use the name. But it's not on your documents at all. Yeah.
No. For some reason that I remember, but who actually brought it up? And I really don't know. Documents, no. Anyway.
Well, thank you for
You're welcome.
for being you and for coming and being willing to
In fact,
do this.
I'm always willing to talk.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, actually, right? Because from your story and what you've shared, you talk about like Aunt Zora, your mother's sister, and Ivica and your parents, and there's this theme of them not being wanting to talk, right? Them not sharing their story or their experience or speaking. And of course, some of that is it's very understandable that they're, in some cases it's because of safety or.
There is a two-way road. One is for them to speak and for me to ask. I didn't ask because when I asked something, they didn't want to answer. But if I was persistent in trying to find out, maybe I would succeed. That's the good thing about sitting today and talking about when you asking question, and I'll answer to the best of my knowledge or whatever I remember from my past. It's interesting since you manage it. The names, my Anzora parents. I knew about Anzora and my uncle Ivica and my uncle Nazi and Aunt Zenka, much more than about my parents. Because when I lost them, I was 11 years old, and it was a routine day to day to day. If I was a little bit older, I probably would have asked questions. Why, for instance, my mother was older and she was born in Zagreb, and my Aunt Zora was born in, I don't know how many kilometers north of Zagreb as a second one. Who knows? Why did they move? And again, they, both of them, they lived in proximity, but born in different places. Interesting. Never knew. Never will know. That's it.
On this topic, I suppose, rolling right from here, is a lot of things I've always wondered are more abstract and about your youth. I know your basic story because you're my grandfather and I've heard it, but I'm wondering more, do you remember what the climate of the times was as a child? What were your parents saying, if you remember anything, or what was the general feeling when you were maybe 8, 9, 10 in old Yugoslavia? Could you tell there was political tension?
Well, unfortunately, there is no good answer. We lived pretty well, like every family. No specifics. Why did we live where we lived? That's another question. I couldn't figure out because most of my school colleagues, and I was going into the elementary school, Jewish elementary school I finished in Zagreb. They lived in a little bit more central part of the town. We lived in not far periphery, but periphery. I had to take the tram to go to school and the tram to go back. I could have actually walked, but I mean, it would have been a long walk. Why did they live? They congregate in a certain wealthier area, part of the town, and I think we were not wealthy. This was my impression, but we had everything that we were supposed to have. I mean, I as a child would like to have a scooter, nice scooter. Never got it. Okay, I would like to have a bicycle that would I never got it. But we had bicycles, but for business, not for fun ride. I I didn't have many toys actually. The first time I got toys when they uh, when they put me in the hospital because my scarlet fever, and then they released me from the hospital and gave it to my mom, who was in quarantine for me for 6 weeks, so that I can go over the scarlet fever. Was a tough because there were no antibiotics at that time. Anyway, but then I had some toys. I got some toys to play these six, and some books and etc. But everything what I got at that time was destroyed by the after that, after I was over, was destroyed by the official hygienic hygienics who came to make sure that everything is nice and that I'm not going to propagate the illness. So, and I don't remember toys, no.
You talk about quarantine. That's a story we've heard, but was your mother the only person with you in quarantine?
She was the only person through 6 weeks, and then the food was delivered to us and treated specially after. I mean, it's amazing that at that time, you can get the scarlet fever was and diphtheria. I don't know how you pronounce it. Diphtheria was
Yeah.
another
Mm-hmm.
illness.
What do you remember from those 6 weeks? Like, I'm just imagining you're around 8 years old, and it's 6 weeks just with your mother.
This was no, this was nice. I think she was suffering more than I did.
How so?
You know, being she had a full life before and after until 1941. And then I was a disruption, of course. I mean, yeah. I mean, she read books. She played some games with me. But I really don't remember specifics how she felt, but I'm just guessing the way that she didn't feel good. And then after 6 weeks, I was out playing again, running, and that was about. I was just about. Excuse me. I was about 8 years old, but maybe 7. I know. I remember. I was in either on a first or second year of the elementary school, so that must be my age. How did we live? We lived pretty good. Yeah, otherwise, we had a maid. We had always food on our table. I met with my friends here and there from the school. I'm talking about school friends. I had friends in my neighborhood, but we were always kids. Kids get together easily, and that's about it. But from the material point of view, I mean, that how much money we had or how much money my father made, because my mother didn't work. She was homemaker. And I know that that our maid, she came with us. I think she was 15 years old when I was born. So she grew up, and I grew up, and I was a pain in the butt as a kid. You know, that's normal.
Yeah, that's like the job
I
of
had,
kids.
yeah, that's what the kids do. Yeah,
Do you remember any of your friends?
I vaguely,
Vaguely? Fair enough.
vaguely.
What do you remember?
I remember three of my friends, quote unquote, from the elementary school. I remember some of the local friends, but never kept in touch with them after I left.
What about the maid?
The maid I was in touch with, yeah, and she was in touch. I mean, she grew up. So she was 15 when she arrived. 1941, she was 26. And I know that she got married. I don't know whether she married before or after. But she definitely she left, but she still kept in touch with my parents, and she and her husband, who was in Croatian military. They visited them in the that so-called open concentration camp in Kraljevica. Kraljevica used to be, and still is. It's close to it's on the Adriatic coast, and I don't know, maybe 15 kilometers south of Rijeka.
How do you know this? Did you keep in touch with her after the war?
I kept in touch, yes. Actually, I visited them.
Let's see.
I visited them, and that was in 1946. I was in a vocational high school, and during the summertime, I went to town of Osijek. This is during the summer vacation, we had to go and be exposed one month to practical, I don't know, some practice that is technically oriented, okay? So they put me in that, that was the factory. They were, oh God, I don't know. They were cast iron, molded, cast. I mean, that was 1 month over there. And on the way back, I stopped at the town where my maid, her name was Maria, but we called her Marica. She lived in the town called Varaždin. And I spent with them, I don't know, 1 week or 2 weeks. But later on, I was in touch here and there by writing, no telephone calls because they didn't have any telephone.
What was it like to see her again after the war, when you were a little older?
You know what? no particular. I mean, it was nice to see a person whom I actually loved. She was nice. She was always nice to me. And her husband was also nice. He wasn't part of this Ustashi element. He was just, he was in the military because it was war. So, but anyway, that was nice. They tried to really to show always the best for me, particularly because they knew that my parents, in the meantime, they perished. They were quite aware of this. Anyway.
A continuing theme for me in thinking about not only your life as my grandfather, but also Baka as well, is education. We mark time, I guess, as we get older through our schooling. It just becomes natural that we think about our lives, elementary school, formative years, and so on. You mentioned vocational school in 1946. How old were you? And in school, do you remember any friends from that time period?
That's a good question. Yes. First of all, I was 15 years old when I started the vocational school. The vocational school just opened in Sushak. At that time, this was still, we called it Sushak, but it was part of Rijeka. And the vocational school, technical vocational school, was opened in 1945. I entered it in 1945. I would be in the fifth class of the gymnasium. I was the youngest among all my guys in the class. Why? Because most of them they were not attending. They were in a similar situation like I was. I didn't attend school. I didn't have a normal progression where you see you go to elementary school, then you go to high school, and then college. Now, I didn't go to school during the war, so I practically lost 4 years of schooling. How did I? I don't remember. I don't have any certification that no documents. I have documents from the vocational school later on, of course. But did I? I think I lost something that it's hard to. It's difficult to. For me, it was difficult to know how much I lost, but I definitely lost a lot of the general knowledge that is, when kids go from the first of the high school to the fourth grade. And then in 4 years, a lot of years. And in the meantime, I was like home schooling, but no certificates. I learned Italian during the war, and that was the good part. And of course, a little bit of history, reading, they told me.
And you're running a business, right?
That was a different story. I mean, that was part of it. But I didn't run my business, my uncle's business. Yeah. But I didn't run the business. I was just selling the stuff that was collected after 1943 bombardment over there. Anyway, but that's a different story. To answer your question, do I remember my? Yes, I do remember my. I had friends. I had my good two friends where I went later to college together. They were, one was a year older, the other was 3 years older than me. And these people, they came from partisans. It was hard to get good touch with many of them, because they were actually relatively young, but they were men with a war experience. And that's most of them in that vocational school that I went to. Even our professors, some of the professors used to come in uniform with the belt and a revolver, and this is what they do. Took off that belt, put it on the, what do you call it? We call it cathedra, where the professor sits.
Lectern.
Well, it's not a lectern really, but it's, yeah, you can say a lectern. And then talk to us. And that's interesting. Then you feel like you're in a military school. No, it was
Was there
purely technical, very technical.
was there political feeling at the time that you remember among you and your friends?
Political, well, we were all brainwashed.
How so?
Tito, partia, Tito, Tito. This is what, yeah, everybody. We were proud to be, to follow Tito. And we had to read a lot of books that are provided to us as literature. We had to, I mean, this is like a history. The history always is, the history books are written by people.
The powers that be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I mean, the winner of the war writes the history books, right? And yeah, we were all, some of them more, some of them less, but brainwashed.
If I may ask,
And then, yeah,
I'm sorry, you can
no,
finish.
it's interesting that it was, of course, everybody, but we had to learn Russian. That was one of the subjects besides the others. The Russian was, okay, this is for the vocational school was 3 years only. So I really graduated when I was 18. And it was 3 years of Russian, which I then continue in college also, Russian, until 19. I think in 1950, it's hard to say. 1948, the Yugoslavia broke away from Russian, and then the Russian language, that was a little bit loose subject. Therefore, we started to be oriented more to foreign languages, French and English. Anyway, you wanted to ask me something else.
Along similar lines, at that time, learning Russian after the war, and I know you used the language later to help you study for engineering,
Yeah.
your textbooks. This is out of left field, but did you have any thoughts whatsoever, even as a young person at that time, about the United States?
Oh, we were always informed of what was going on.
Interesting.
Yeah, we were informed. particularly when not as much in the high school, this vocational school, but thereafter in college, we had a lot of contacts with American literature.
Really?
Yeah,
Did you read anything? Do you remember anything that you read?
none.
Fair enough.
I remember it.
interesting, though.
I do remember technical books. That I remember very well. Yeah. But not
Yeah.
I read translated, to Croatian American books. Yeah, we all read.
And it sounds like they had some impact, like even if you don't remember exactly the books.
I don't remember impact as
Okay.
much as being in touch with my relatives who were in the United States.
Who were
Uncle
Uncle
Richard,
Richard.
yeah, and Uncle Richard, Uncle Leo, or Uncle Leo. Not Leo Wisniewski, but one.
Do you remember anything that they wrote about or said about the United States? Just curious.
They were talking about my uncle, problems with the black people and Jewish people. But on the other hand, they always said it's better to be in the United States than in former Yugoslavia. I say former because first it was a monarchy and then was dictatorship by communists. This is when we left. So we could start thinking about making a move, but that's a different story that came later in our life. Not while I was in vocational school.
What did you? I have a lot of questions, and I want to go back in time. But while we're
Go
kind of
ahead.
here, I'm curious. What did you? Because you said you were proud of following Tito, being a supporter of Tito. I'm wondering what at that time, what were you proud of?
We really thought, and it's partly true, that he helped us. He liberated us. Said knew from being occupied by the Axis versus, and Tito's partisans were liberator, and this is why we were all proud of how he handled that wartime, and then again. These first few years were tough because we knew that outside, the Europe, the western part of Europe, they lived much better than we used to. On the other hand, we knew also that we lived better than some of the other Eastern countries that were occupied by Russian, like, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland. So we felt that it doesn't matter how strict the politics was at that time, we still felt that Tito was doing the right thing.
He was giving you a country,
But
right?
not only that, I mean, we were saved somehow. Although I would say that as we knew this later, he was big friend with Egyptian President Nasser at that time, and that there was no anti-Semitism per se, okay? But not open. Latent, yes, latent, and it still, and it was, and still is, like today. You know? Not later, but latent. You know what that means? Huh? So
I don't totally understand the use of the word latent.
that means that there are you cannot. People did not express directly how they feel, because that was not the government policy. Okay.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really go outside and say down with Jews or whatever it is. You know. No. Just opposite, I would say.
You have to be in line.
You have to be,
and quiet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was different in a sense that I at that time, let me just rephrase that. For instance, in today's world, we know who is from this country or that country. And since Yugoslavia was actually formed from three different languages, okay, like Macedonian, and different religions, like Eastern Orthodox versus Catholics. Jews were a minority.
Islam, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, 1%, whatever, half percent of the population. But we really did not know. When I was in that high school, vocational high school, I couldn't care less if somebody was from Slovenia or from Macedonia, whether a person is Jewish or Eastern Orthodox or Catholic or Muslim. Who the heck knows? I didn't know. We were all friends. This was the situation. But again, there definitely there was if you ask person, do you like Jews? Would a person say yes or no? I don't believe. Say that's a taboo. We are not going to touch it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it was taboo. Was it taboo because of the current political climate?
Current political climate, yes.
I also think about the recent history, like as impacting
that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the main reason.
Yeah.
Were you fully secular in the way that you lived? I assume so, but did you practice your religion?
We were fully secular, I would say, even before the war. I went to temple because I had to go to temple. After that, because I went to Jewish elementary school. But at home, I don't remember that anyone went to temple. And but all the holidays were celebrated as a way of tradition rather than being very religious.
Did people simply not talk about religion after the war in
After the
socialist
war,
Yugoslavia? You never asked anyone, nobody asked you.
no. People are asking me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. People were asking me. Yeah. Some of them asked me whether I'm Jewish or am I this or am I Catholic or whatever. But Croatia, I would say, is and today 90% Catholics, and 10%. I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know, 85% Catholics, maybe another 10% Eastern Orthodox, and then the rest is Muslim, etc., and Jewish. When communists took over, the going to church, I'm talking now Catholic Church, that was a taboo. People were going, but nobody wanted to say and talk about going to church because that was a little bit tricky. Although I have to say that that was, as the time progressed, the more and more people started to go, and then everything has changed. And it's like today, now we have an extreme that they are very religious. I'm talking these days. Compared
Modern
to
day Croatian government.
modern, absolutely, yeah. Modern Croatia is very religious.
What did your friends or you, if you remember, think about the Soviet Union at that time after the war?
Immediately after the war, we thought that Soviet Union did a good thing, pushing the Axis out, and was part of the winners in that, together with the Western. We didn't know exactly what was happening over there until 1948, when we were informed a little bit more about. We found that in the details that it wasn't so great being part of the Russians who were dominating most of the eastern part of Europe. Did we get any feedbacks? Not from our. We had some relatives who lived in Czechoslovakia. However, at that time we didn't know. We didn't have any contacts. This I'm talking immediately after the war. I think we consider them until we are supposed to not consider them anymore. After 1948, they were good. They were friends. They were uncle. Unfortunately, everything has changed then. And the reason is that, and again, we have to thank Tito, that he had enough strength and probably support. I believe that he also got supported by the Western, he broke completely with the Russian. And whatever Russian army or part of Russian army came from the eastern side, from Romania or Bulgaria. They expelled them. So there were no Russians in Yugoslavia at that time, after 1948. But that's the history. I mean, that part, you'll particularly you will know much more than I do, or learn more, or read more.
It's always interesting to hear you say it.
Yeah.
But what really interests me, of course,
Yeah.
is that what you and your friends were thinking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to hear the perspectives of the time and your perspectives.
I know that some of our people that later on, I'm talking 1948, who sided with Russian. I mean, just say, I like Russian. 1948, somebody hears you, you may wind up working in one of the islands on the Adriatic and with a hammer breaking rocks for several years. Yeah. If you survive, this is what happened in 1948. God forbid you said, I love Russian. And the next day, you will not love them anymore.
Was this a conscious thing you and your friends or just people in general, not worried, but aware of the state security service?
Absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I cannot tell you much other than I know some of the people and some of our friends, they wound up in, they call it the Goliotok, the naked island. And they came back and they didn't talk about it, not much, but they were there until they were reprogrammed, so-called. They didn't like Russian anymore.
My.
Reprogrammed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
How long were they away?
Some of them were, I don't know, 1 year, 2, 3 years. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Really stands out to me there is just fear. Like the like people are scared. The government is scared. Like otherwise, why would they control people like that?
Scared, the government.
Well, why would they send people to be reprogrammed if they weren't scared?
Well, they just didn't want anyone. This is the politics, right? Yeah,
It's control politics.
Yeah, control politics, absolutely. It's happening today, similar thing, right?
How so?
Today? Oh, no, I'm not talking over there, I'm talking here. Isn't that? I mean, aren't they Republican regardless of whether they agree or disagree with the president? They still say yes to the president, right? Maybe Democrats do the same thing, but anyway. But that's the way it is. Just you not get punished for this. Over there, at that time, there's a totalitarian system, you get punished. Even in today's Russia, you get punished.
Mm-hmm.
Think about
Yeah, a lot of places. China.
China, yeah. Communist
Scary
system, it's
stories.
totalitarian system. I just read recently it was on television, that ballerina that was released. Okay, that ballerina was giving $40 or I don't know something for Ukraine, and was in I don't know, they put her in jail for 12 years, theoretically 12 years. She was released because of today's politics.
She was a Russian ballerina.
She was a Russian ballerina.
Or is, yeah.
Yeah, Russian.
Yeah.
Dual citizenship. She had U.S. and Russian citizenship. Right? This is crazy. I mean, so you cannot express yourself. This is the liberty of free talk that we have here. You can talk, doesn't help, but we have free talk. Free speech. You can express yourself. You can say what you want. You can say that the president is an idiot. God forbid you say something like that in the totalitarian system. And again, big rock, chisel, and you do this for you several years if you survive.
And it does seem like those types of systems, they only last so long. Like there's a balance between giving people enough freedom, enough livelihood that enough of them don't gather to revolt. Like it seems like throughout the course of history, these systems only last so long, right?
Well, yeah, some of them last quite long.
Yeah.
And the bigger the country is, the more difficult it is to control and install a democratic or democracy. And stay like Russia is theoretically democracy. It's not. Although they call it democracy, they are still totalitarian system by the way they operate. And who knows? China, definitely.
Yeah.
Continue. But yeah, people get, in small countries, a different story. People revolt, they change the government, and then there is a price for it. We experienced that in former Yugoslavia several times in the Balkans.
The revolt, or
revolt.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
then they bring after revolt is establish something new, what works or doesn't work, right? Then you have another revolt.
Were you ever kind of close up to any of those events?
No, I mean, lived through it.
In the initial establishment of Yugoslavia.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was never involved in anything political. I personally.
Yeah.
And basically the reason is that because I paid the price just being Jewish. And I always wonder, I still wonder, why people kill each other. I mean, see, we know exactly how that happened. I mean, we know that what created a politics so that very dominant personalities like Hitler could get all the people in the country to turn against not only Jews, but against anyone who is not of Aryan descent. How and why? So, since I was part of that who suffered, quote unquote, I would never say for myself that I really suffered, but I did. Okay.
You can never compare these things, but
I cannot associate myself with anything, no other group that would, dominant or not dominant. I don't want to be part of. It's hard to understand that for people here in the States, they're freely expressing themselves. I'm Democrat, I'm Republican, I'm independent. When we came, when we immigrated, we decided we are going to become Republican here. We registered as Republican. Why? Because they call it democracy over there, which wasn't democracy. Tito was still Tito. Right? He was still dominant personality, and the politics. I say enough of this kind of democracy. Will we? Then after a while we said, oh, the hell, we'll be really independent. Okay, so this is what we are today, because we don't want to be. I personally don't want to belong to any group of people that will tell me what and how to do certain things. Whether these are left or right. And I think being here, we just succeeded of doing this way, or living this way. That's about it. I mean, I don't know if I answered your question, but
You did, and thank you.
yeah, to a point.
Did you feel in the United States as a young father, did you feel any pressure from the political climate in the United States at the time? Or were your priorities very direct? Work, school. I know Baca had to be recertified, obviously, as a pediatrician.
Work. We try. What were the priorities? We came here with $0 in our pocket. I mean, literally. Borrowed from my uncle $500, which we returned, okay, later on, so that we don't walk around without the penny in our pocket. So what were our priorities? Priorities were to establish, to catch up, not where we left, but to catch up with people that we are our colleagues, or in the office, colleagues, and try to get to speed. So what are the priorities? Work, children, school, education, of course, Um, and they told us immediately, it's important that you have a mortgage and that you have a house, etc., etc. So we bought this relatively fast. When did we buy the house? In, we came in 1969. In 1972, I think we bought the house already. Okay, mortgage, of course. And that, I'm not sure.
In Queens.
In Queens, yeah.
Yeah.
In Queens.
What did you think of where?
And that was the most important thing. No politics, nothing.
That's what I was going to ask.
Buy a
Exactly.
house.
Buy a house.
Welcome to America.
Welcome to
Get a
America.
mortgage.
That's
Take a
right.
loan from one of our great banks.
Absolutely.
It's just, as my whole life,
Yeah.
in all my schooling and everything, that's such a time period that's focused on in American history. And it's interesting to hear that for me, that's associated with like a time of abject chaos in all my classes and everything. Oh, the late 60s, oh, the 70s, New York was a disaster, all of these things.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to hear someone that lived there, bought a house there, and understandably cares about raising his kids, working hard, and all of these great, seemingly important political things
Unimportant.
unimportant for someone actually there
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Well, so is it political what you're speaking of? I mean, to some degree, yes, but is it also about like conditions on the ground, like
It is.
living
I
in New
mean,
York, cleanliness,
exactly, yeah.
hygiene?
I kind of mean all of those things,
Yeah.
political, social, hygienic, economic, that we associate today with like New York in 1970. Rolling blackouts, like those kind of things. And this was just part and parcel for you living there.
Imagine it's very
Whether-
different from Zagreb at that time.
Priorities. Yeah. In Zagreb was important when I worked over there to go to meetings, because we had to go to everybody's. As I said, even later on, it wasn't really. I wouldn't call it. Bless you. No, we didn't have to go to meetings, but a meeting where you discuss the current situation, the political situation. Where you are it is I would say brainwashing for some people, but for me that was, God, again meeting. This is the way I felt. God, really, do I have to go? I mean, it's crazy, and yet we all went, because if you don't go, then somebody may say, okay, this guy is against the government. I mean, this guy doesn't like anymore. I mean, I mean, that was the situation after I worked after college. Although I have to say that, again, my priorities were working and education. That was my priorities over there as well. And I worked very, very hard.
Did you have any friends or coworkers that you remember?
Yeah, I did.
Did you keep in touch with any of them?
I did. When we came to the United States, I still was in touch with them. But slowly, out of sight, out of mind. Not necessarily out of mind, but not anymore what it used to be. Now they're all past, they're gone.
Why do you ask that question, Alex? I'm curious.
Oh, that's an interesting thing.
I think
Yeah.
that people haven't much changed, but it's hard to imagine as a young person because of social media. And also, I mean, I'm not into social media really, but even just the phone I have in my pocket is filled with contacts of coworkers and friends. And I feel that while these drop off as I age, I manage to keep one or two from every sort of experience that I go through. And in those days, it's hard for me as a young person now with all of this technology and communication at my fingertips to grasp
Yeah.
that you were moving across oceans. Technology was not what it was today. You had letters, obviously,
Letters.
but
Letters
it
and
all seems so
telephone
chaotic.
calls.
And
Yeah.
I ask about your friends in Croatia before, and then also when you began to work here in the United States as an immigrant, were you mostly with other immigrants, or how wide was the background of engineers that you worked with?
There were some immigrants, yeah. There were some immigrants. I still remember him, a Polish guy who was here much longer than I, who still didn't speak English. He did, but
How did you learn English? Quickly on the job?
well, on the job, that was a different story. I knew enough English to move around. What was difficult here, and how would I say, whatever is mathematic based, but better, this is like a music, okay? The note is the note in the note, regardless where you go. So in mathematics, the same thing. In the field that I worked, all the physics laws apply here as anywhere else. Okay, so that wasn't a problem. The problem was terminology, mostly. When I started, terminology is different. The equipments were, some of them the same, some of them different. Have been being used in the field. The units, okay, the measurement units, some are different. Then you have to get used to it. Now, Celsius versus Fahrenheit, and the meter versus foot, okay, etc. This is not a problem. The problem is when you come to a big company like I did. I was exposed to new hardware, and as I say, terminology. And then I found out after a short while that there was a book of abbreviations and terminology that everybody was using. I mean, book. There are people who worked long time in the company, in the engineering department. They had to use that as a tool, that book, because nobody knew everything. You know? That was the problem. I learned this. We'll learn quickly if you apply yourself properly. But English, yeah, we knew English, and then did I had problems concentrating. That somebody used to talk to me, but not looking at me. Like let's say that Baka sitting over there and starts talking to me. But now I would react because I would hear. And my first 6 months, I would say I didn't. I wasn't deaf, but I didn't hear if somebody was behind me and talking to me or wanted to say something, unless he addressed me by name first. It's a difficult situation. But so talking about knowing the language and using the language, and again, the language becomes, you can become proficient only if you learn idiomatic expressions. I mean, very important. If you don't learn this, you still have difficulty leading any conversation. So, no, I would say again back to what were the priorities. And today is different. Today is surviving. Okay. Not, I mean surviving, but for different reasons. But when you think about what you mentioned, we have we have Trump and problems and different way of the way. I said, we cannot do much. Unless you can, you can talk about these things and like or dislike, and you can get frustrated or not frustrated, but you cannot change anything. So again, priorities are basically something will change in the future. We'll still continue living in democracy, hopefully, again. And this shouldn't have any major effect on our life or affect us, okay, going forward.
Yeah.
But when you're young, you think differently. When you're young, when you're in school, and influenced by your friends, peers, and professors, and the political situation. They're absolutely they're different.
Yeah, it's very different when we have most of our lives ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
You're touching on, basically a question that we had, which was, looking at the political situation now, and with being young people in the world, and the growing sort of authoritarian dynamics and xenophobic dynamics that are happening. A lot. There's a lot of fear right now. From my perspective, in our country and probably in the world in general, and it often feels like it's like there's nothing to do about it, or nothing that I kind of can do about it other than talk about it. And there's of course like can go protest and whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering what, as someone who's lived through the 30s and 40s, and then in Yugoslavia, like both during the war and then post-war in Yugoslavia, I'm wondering like what's your perspective on what's happening now, more of that, and do you have any advice or wisdom for us and for our generation?
You know what? I wish I had. But wisdom, yeah,
Yeah,
you have to live through it.
yeah,
I mean, think about, I mean, you can protest. You, unless you really organize something, something major, then that's a different, that may have an effect. I don't see the way out. Other word, we have to, you have to live, right? You have to live. There is no, yeah, but you're not going to kill yourself because the situation is hard, but adjust to adjust everything to your liking and ability, and you got to survive if you don't. I mean, is it everything so bad that there is no way out? Yeah, be better in a situation like that. There was no way out, and it still got out. Pay the price. The price was big. But this is the only advice. First of all, I don't like to give advice if I'm not asked for it. And if I don't have advice, I would rather say I really don't have it than give an advice that may be wrong. This is not my field. My field, the technology that I was familiar with and I worked more than, yes, I was giving my advice through writing papers and articles about what I did. But otherwise, how can you give advice? I mean, this is craziness. What's happening now? Yeah. I mean, I say, where were these economists before? What's going on now? Are we in a different world? I mean, I don't know economics. I know my own economics.
Well, yeah, I'm not asking for economic advice.
No, but I'm just trying to say this is I don't want to get involved in the field and talk about and giving any advice that could be misunderstood.
Yeah,
we can talk talk about this, but
about the situation.
The situation,
yeah.
but it's without giving.
I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is like on a personal level, like it's more about it's more like life advice than any, like it's just as someone who's lived a lot longer and had a lot more of these, lived through these really challenging experiences. I mean, I just personally like, there's like, I just don't, I feel like we're at this point, both politically, I guess, and economically too, but politically in this country where, like, we don't know. Is this going to keep escalating? Are we going to move into, like, are we going to stay a real Like, are we going to try to keep staying true, at least more or less, to democracy or not? And yeah, it's a bit of this awkward moment where I'm like, should I be concerned, or is everything kind of just more like more or less like people make a big deal out of stuff, but then life goes on, you know? And it's hard to know which one of those paths is going to happen. I guess no one can know.
No one.
I'll ask it this way, in as much as today our material circumstances are really, really good. People have enough to eat all over the United States, rich, poor, whatever. Most people have enough to eat. People have wonderful technology. You know, we live in the future today, and the microchip and all of these things. Yet there is an undercurrent, whatever your politics, of fear all over. And people my age especially sense this because we're not so young as we once were. You know, when you're a kid, everything is amazing and whatever. But we're also not so old to be jaded. And it's very obvious to us. Yet you've lived a wonderful life, and some of your best memories, I'm sure, you know, with my grandma and everything was ostensibly, was during communist Yugoslavia. And you lived through all of these things with a lot less than we ever had. And it just seems that you've taken life as it's come, as a matter of course, in a way that is hard, I think, for young people to identify with today. In a way, I think we've almost had too much, and I don't really mean that, but at every opportunity, your goals were very material and direct. Marriage, children, working, education. And in a way, you've lived through these events as they've come by simply acting like yourself. I'm not sure if I'm quite getting at what I mean here, but I think people are maybe just more distracted today by all of these things.
People are distracted. Yes, I agree. I mean, you said it right. Yeah, we were driven as survivors. We wanted to succeed. Not necessarily. I think I remember one point of time, Brianna asked me, "Are you rich?" I mean, really, that was and I told her, "Yes, we are rich. We work. I have my two hands. I have my brain. I think straight. I'm rich." If I don't know why she asked me that at one point.
How old was she?
She was. It's hard to say. 10, 9, 10, 11. And I believe, she probably doesn't remember that, but I remember because this is so interesting that the little kid is asking me, so how do you measure that? Okay, money, maybe money. Maybe she heard something and I never got to it, to her. But she asked me a question. I mean, that was interesting. My answer was, and I would also answer the same way today. We have enough money to survive and going forward, and hopefully it's not going to be devaluated to a point that we cannot use it anymore. Okay. Can I?
Yeah.
Am I going to think about this catastrophe? That would be catastrophe not for me only, for the nation, for everybody, if it comes to that. But otherwise, yeah, I'm rich. And I can still, now we cannot do anymore what we used to, but and we got to adjust our life to our means. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what. But that's what.
that's a very important skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot have helicopter or whatever, or a jet. I mean,
Yeah.
not today. I mean, but if I believe that we could have done that, and having an airplane, you know.
If you really wanted
Yeah.
to do that.
Do I want it? No.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed flying with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed flying with you a great deal, David. It's very special.
And again, now when we Chad fly that little Piper, I mean, that was another experience. I enjoyed it. And I would, I would go again. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
fun.
I think about wealth
But this is,
and how there's so many different kinds of wealth. Like what kinds of wealth are really the most important to us?
but you know, it's a drastic change from where I was as a kid and my parents. What did my parents do? As I mentioned that, my father used to go out from store to store to store and sell the product, right? Because he was a salesman, not salesman who was, you know, sell little things. He was representing a big one, big factory in the area. And my mother was homemaker. But we had everything. We had a piano. I mean, we had a telephone. Big thing at that time. Right? And again, the telephone was provided. We wouldn't have it if my father wasn't a salesman, because that was again provided by the factory, or the Schmoll was the factory. But communication, yeah. I mean, I never used the telephone to talk to my friends. I have to go there and talk to my friends in person.
How many numbers long was your telephone number?
Four numbers. You figure out how many numbers can you have altogether with the 4 numbers, right?
As a kid, did you ever go on take the phone and try to play with it and try to call things?
Of course, I played. I mean, we all. This was normal. I was a kid.
Well, yeah.
Okay, played with the telephone. That was all hardwired. It was standing in one place. You couldn't move it. There was no telephone. Even when I graduated, we had hard time to get the telephone in our house. When we got married, we still didn't have a telephone, right? But I have connections in the post office, because post office at that time was running also the telephone company at the same time. Different department, but part of the same establishment. And then I said, hey, I have connections over there. I said, can you make sure that somebody's going to bring 2 wires to our roof over there, and so I can get a connection? Because that was the whole thing. Bring the 2 wires from somewhere, right? So, and they did it. Right? So then we got telephone.
Do you remember any stories that your father or your uncles told you, or that your parents told you when you were young?
I remember stories that my uncle was telling me. My father, I know that they were gathering, the family was gathering in. I have pictures also from these gatherings. Photos. And I remember also in Zagreb that when we went and visited some of my father's friends or my mother's friends. But stories, no. I know that Miro spoke to his father, my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
I never spoke to him, and they never spoke to me. They didn't. That never worked. Never worked. Or, my fault was that I accepted the situation the way it was. I didn't ask anything. I did not want, or I couldn't. I just don't know. There is no explanation to it. It was different. For me, that was different time because I kind of felt a little bit detached. Detached since I moved from my known environment to a new environment, which was, considered temporary at the time, which wasn't temporary. Then again, since I came to Rijeka, I immediately moved to a different location with my
Aunt Zora and
Aunt Zora,
Ivica.
because they moved.
Oh yeah.
They moved because they were in anticipation of what's coming. They had a foresight, I would say, pretty good. They moved from a very luxury apartment to another much less, a little bit away from the center of the town. Okay. Then I moved from there. I moved back to my Uncle Nazi and Aunt Zdenka lived there. Then comes the end of the war. Situations have changed. I'm back with my aunt. So this is all I'm talking about: surviving and adapting to the situation without talking to any psychologist. Nobody helped me. I was my own psychologist, I guess so. In a retrospect, that's the way how it looks like. And then comes 1948, and in 1948 was a lot of propaganda and let's go to Israel. Israel. And then I asked Aunt Zora, how about, okay, you ran away, now you're back here, and you're not anymore what you used to be.
What do you mean? In what way?
In what way?
Mm-hmm.
Because they came, they fled. they came back to live in an environment where intelligentsia is not welcome. Communist, communist government. So she, Anzora, who was a linguist and polyglot actually, she found herself. I mean, she started to teach in different schools. But my uncle, who was a director of the bank, was now the second or third or fourth or fifth in charge. Okay, so his intellect was worthwhile for the bank, but his boss was some who had the red booklet, Communist Party, right? So they were scared. Or he was scared.
Yeah.
And that I could understand. So when I asked them, "Oh, let's go, let's move," okay. I mean, later on I understood that they definitely they couldn't go. But on the other hand, I didn't go by myself. That would be another move for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I'm going to stay.
Why could they not have gone in retrospect?
And yeah,
What,
I would have gone to Israel,
yeah.
right? And that means start from scratch again.
Yeah. Yeah. After losing your
After
your
losing,
home
after
multiple
again
times.
and another and again, you know. Yeah, I didn't want another change. So I said, and then I say, I would like to. I was looking for a permanent solution. The permanent solution became after this girlfriend, that girlfriend, finally here I got to Baka and we dated, and then I said maybe that's something that's going to be my next home and become home and a family. But what I wanted to say, I know that everybody loved me, my uncle and this uncle and that uncle and that aunt and this.
What were you saying? You were saying to say something?
Although I knew that everybody liked me or loved me, okay, my aunt, the other aunt, my cousins, it's still something missing in that relationship. Me as because I noticed that yes, they loved me, but there was still something missing. It's hard to describe. It's not the same love as loving your own child. And yet, yes, I was part of the family, and yet I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, and I don't want to, complain about, and shouldn't be taken as a complaint. But I think I was not loved as much as their own children.
Only natural.
It is, yeah, but when you try to be logical, yes, absolutely, that's the way it is. But that means that I was really missing something.
Yeah.
in a process. This is what I was looking
A certain
for.
kind of love.
Anyway, I think this is what I said. That's an interesting fact psychologically.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there was a quality of being loved that was missing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was there,
Yeah.
and yet not to the extent I felt it should have been.
Did you,
Which is understandable.
it is, and it's tough. I mean, when did you realize that was the case?
The case was really when was the time to maybe to go to Israel? This is when it clicked. And I said that was there was something. Oh, there was something also before, but these are little things that certain age you look at these things differently. And yet I love them. I think I love them. I have to say that I probably loved my cousins more than their parents.
They're like your siblings,
Yeah, my
basically.
siblings. Yeah.
Yeah. Andritza and
yeah,
Miro and
Miro,
Tito.
Ivo.
Ivo.
Yeah, Ivo he's the youngest.
Oh, Ivo was Miro's younger brother. Okay,
Youngest,
yeah, I forgot about
youngest
Ivo.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a anesthesiologist in Zurich, in Switzerland. Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's go back.
On
You said
Stenka.
Anstenka?
Yeah.
You want to talk about Anstenka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories about Anstenka, achieving these heroic things throughout the
That
war.
was that. You know, I never spoke to her about it. Whatever I heard is then secondhand from Tito. And later on, when Yoav was working on this, that she becomes the what do you call the best among the nation? No,
Righteous
so
among
the
the
righteous
nations.
about the
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that, but I never spoke to her. I just and she never spoke to me. But she took good care of me.
When you say you never spoke to her, like, you mean?
I didn't spoke to her about what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, and did she do it because she probably felt for my parents, which I understand that she did. I found some correspondence which was not related to this at all when they were corresponding, and she was always writing very nice letters to my mother and vice versa. This was before the war. So I would say they had very good relationship. But as I say, whatever I wrote was what I got from Tito
Hmm.
and Yoav.
Could you share a little bit about what that period was like? So Anstenka, when Anstenka came to get you from Zagreb and bring you to Rijeka or Sushak, um, yeah, my mom asked me to specifically to kind of go into this a little bit, and she was sharing how, which I didn't really pick up from your story that you wrote, but she was sharing how um, there was like when your brother was taken away, your parents went to like look for him or try to get him back somehow. And during that time, that was Aunt Stenka came to get you, and somehow she was in the loop.
She was in a loop. Yes,
Yeah.
she was in a loop. Um,
And like, what did you know? What did you
I'll tell
think?
you
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
first-handed. First-handed, they asked the government at that time asked that all these young men have to show up at a place which I knew as a place, and that place still exists today, not for the same purpose. And then we went together there, the whole, all four of us, and my brother stayed there, okay, and then they took all these young kids and took them to one place before they killed them. Okay, they were in one of the temporary concentration points, and then supposedly, and this is what Tito wrote, and he told me that, and his mother went there to try to get him out because she came as a Catholic and a citizen of Italy because she had Italian passport. Okay? And she had Italian passport because Rijeka was occupied. The whole Adriatic area was occupied by Italian in 1941. Besides, she had that passport. I don't know how she had the passport and so quickly. I really don't know. But she got it. And on the way back from that temporary concentration camp, where these young men were, she was stopped in Zagreb, and she said, "There is no time. There is no time. You have to go." I mean, to me that was okay. Let's go. Why not? So I went. What kind of paper she had to be able to do this, I don't know. And that's about it. Very simple. I had my basic things with me, whatever I needed. Nothing, nothing big. No big luggage. Just a very, very basic things. That I remember.
Where were your parents when she
My
came?
parents were still in Zagreb.
They were in Zagreb.
They were still in Zagreb. How did they? They were able to move from this extreme dangerous location in Zagreb to the area that was really controlled by Italian government. And they said they called this area very loose concentration camp. Loose meaning they could move around basically in the town. Just have to report. How did they get there? Who provided the papers so they can move from Zagreb to Kraljevica? I mean, this is not far when geographically, but it goes from one area that is strictly controlled by Ustaše, by Quislings, the Croatian, I call it Croatian Quislings, or there are no Quislings.
Of course.
They, from that area into this, to Kraljevica. And this is where I saw them. We went there to see them. This is where I met them the last time.
The last time you were able to actually speak to them and hang out with them.
This was yeah. Again, this was like, to me, let's go like this an outing. Going from Rijeka to Kraljevica. And
yeah, they weren't too far away. It's
they were not far. I mean, you're talking 15 kilometers is not far.
Yeah.
Right? 15 kilometers, 15 miles, I really don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But you can look at the map.
I mean, on the map, it's close. Yeah.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah.
What happened? I saw them. We hugged, just very nothing. And that's it. And nobody explained to me that this is a concentration camp. And later on, of course, I found out.
You didn't know why your parents were there? Or what did you know?
Oh, the only thing I know that they moved, they moved from, because we have to, Jews are not supposed to have their own house.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that I'm curious about generally. It was like how,
This is the only thing I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they told me also that I have to stay now over there.
In Rijeka. They told you that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were moving. See, as I came from Zagreb to Rijeka, to Sušak actually, it still was Sušak. Still the border was still there, small bridge, short bridge. I didn't go directly to Zdenka, to the there. I stayed with Anzora until September of 1943, when the Italy capitulated. Okay. So again, and in the meantime, in the meantime, this was, I think, 1942. Again, Zdenka came with Tito, picked me up and say, we are going to Kraljevica to see my parents. I mean, this was normal. It's an outing to me. Still didn't click that this is all related to see my parents over there, and they are really they could move out, and then I have a lot of correspondence that I already translated. I didn't put it in a paper, where I see the correspondence between my parents and Uncle Richard, who was in Italy, in an area close to Parma. How the heck did you see? That's a missing thing. How did he get there? He and Uncle Bernard, the oldest one. How could they escape and get there in 1941 or 1942? My parents couldn't. Just that's a missing link. But again, I have the correspondence, so this is written, cards.
They knew where each other were at.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Your parents were able to still like receive and send mail from
Send
the
mail,
concentration
mail
camp.
back and forth.
Yeah.
You can see that the mail was controlled. I can show you that. I have
That's
them
really
here.
interesting.
Yeah.
The Italians were much looser.
Yeah, well, and when the German pressed on Italian, and this was 1941, they also got to put them in a concentration camp, real stuff. And then they put them on this island Arab. Italian called it Arbe. Okay.
So there was no thought when you saw them that like this might be the last time you're seeing your
That
parents.
was the last time I saw them when the German captured them.
Yes.
That was the last time. But then I saw them, but they couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you saw them a couple of times after when they were brought to
That's right.
to
Gestapo over there.
Gestapo in Sushak. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, missing thing, a lot of missing thing. Again,
at what point did you realize that like things were really bad?
when I saw them in Sushak, I knew that is it. And then the very next day I saw them. We were watching. We had good contacts with the partisan spies, local.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like one of your teachers or
one of the teacher, Miro's teacher.
Miro's teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was constantly in touch with my uncle, constantly telling her. She told us that then they'll take them the next day away. Be on the balcony. And we had balcony on the fifth floor, actually sixth floor by American standards. We had a balcony. We were there, we saw the truck with people, open truck. They were taken away. I knew that's it. So did they really, somebody wrote that they wound up in Auschwitz. But the German had another spot in Trieste, in factory that used to call Riziera, it's called, when the rice was stored, used to be stored. And in Italian, it's Riziera. And that was another killing ground by German.
How many people watched from this balcony?
We were all on balcony.
Do you remember
Miro, Miro, Tito, Tita's thing, Ansent, and my uncle.
Do you remember what anyone said?
I know that I was
This
upset.
is terrible.
Yeah, I can't. It's so hard to imagine seeing
They were all
my parents
I
like as
mean,
prisoners being taken away. Like,
taken away.
like, yeah.
I don't believe. Yeah. And taken away, but there's nothing you can do. And now,
What did you do? Do you remember?
buddy,
What did you do? Do you I'm curious. Just
what did I
do you
do?
remember like the days after that? Like what was
I
life
remember
like?
the days after that. Yeah, I remember the days after that. We did a lot of work to help partisans. That's what we did, collecting army, rifles, armament, whatever we could from the storage that Italians left before the German walked in.
This was earlier. Yeah,
This was it was
a little bit earlier.
a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
we had them, we stored them, and then this was shipped via the same connection that we had. But that's what we did. Nothing we could do.
What happened once the Germans came?
When the Germans came into an occupied, and that was quick without any, no shooting whatsoever. I mean, they just came. Whoever was registered as a Jew over there, they picked them up, and everybody's gone. Because we knew some people, we had some neighbors, and many of people that Andrenka and my uncle Nancy, when they socialized with, they were building, they were living in the same building where we used to live, or they used to live at that time.
Mm-hmm.
This is center of Sushak, main road, main street, and some of them they had a foresight, like my Aunt Zora, and they knew they have to run away, so they ran. The way they knew how to get out, it's just unbelievable how they got. And Andresa told me, who was at that time, she was 9 years old. Okay, she just said that they ran to further from Kraljevica. There is a place we call Trikvenica. Doesn't matter, but it's on the same coast. First, they were bombarded by Ustaše, and then German walked in, and that my Aunt Zora, who was fluent in French, found a German, one of the officers, German officers, who was either French or he just spoke very good French. How he got the papers to go to cross the border and to go to travel to northern Italy beats me. And even Andritsa didn't know that. But they evidently, this German, helped them. Did they pay him? I don't think so. But they paid the guides in Lake Como to transfer them on the other side and get in through the Swiss border. Yeah, because there were holes in the fences. Like today. So that is what Andritsa told me. Others, and she knew very little. She was a kid, the same as I was, just 4 years difference. How did I spend my time? I spent my time, a lot of time I spent swimming. I was swimming every day, once or twice. Most of the time during the summer.
Yeah, you still in your whole rest of your life, you've spent a lot of time swimming.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that kept me going.
Yeah. What is it about swimming or being in the water that you love? What do you love about it?
It's hard to understand. You know what? I feel so relaxed. Competitive swimming is not the same thing, I was swimming, yeah. I did competitive swimming, but that's...
You were on water polo.
Tried water polo, but never worked for me. I was good handling the ball, but most of the time they dunked me. I was most of the time underwater. It's not like control now. They have cameras. They see what's happening on major these events, so they know if it's a. But at that time, the referee was outside. They dunked me. I was slender. I was never big guy. But the water polo, you have to be. Yeah. The last day. But that was interesting. But then I was swimming a lot.
Yeah.
This is where I have friends also that I was in touch with them. Actually, when I went to meet one of the, we were already here in the United States, and then they organized a meeting of the old that was a meeting of okay, now I know. That was the first generation of this vocational school, and among them there were two water polo players whom I was in touch with. Continued touch, and they passed away. Yeah, but otherwise that water polo team was very good, actually. always some excellent players.
Well, it's always something that, as your family, we've been impressed with and like inspired by, to see you spend so much time in the water, swimming like a mile a day, often into your
a mile.
90s.
I swam a mile here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's easy. That's cruising. That's easy. That's not
Yeah.
competitive. And I feel good.
Well, it's not about competition. Yeah, it's like it feels. It's
Yeah.
about how it feels for you,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I mean, I find there's definitely a certain feeling to spending a lot of time in the water that my body just feels good. There's nothing like it.
I feel relaxed, and it's not I mean, what I'm doing now, I mean, this is an easy move. Just moves. The body is light. Different. No. Even my aunt wrote a letter to when she was writing to my parents. She mentioned that.
I read that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said you swim every day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did all kind of things. Roller skating, for instance. I was roller skating a lot.
Around town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Roller skating. It's crazy. But that was yeah. I was ice skating in Zagreb when I went to elementary school. I carried my ice skates with me during the winter time on the way back home. I'm talking before the war. I stopped in. There was normally tennis courts. They always put ice on the tennis courts, and then I was ice skating before I went home from the school. Very active.
Yeah.
But that I cannot say that for my father. My father didn't look like a sportsman. He was always on a heavy side. My mother too, actually. The way I remember him. So anyway, I don't know. I'm sorry I couldn't give you more information about, but I don't know much.
It's okay. Yeah. I mean, we have what we have, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of. I mean, it's so fascinating to.
It is. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't ask more. And I spent a lot of time with Anzoram later on. After I was in college, I was coming there. Spent a lot of time with them and talking about everything else, but nothing about my parents. She couldn't talk. She never went to.
No.
She never went to Zagreb again. That's it.
Do you remember the end of the war?
The end of the war, yeah, I remember the end of the war.
Where were you? What did you think
I was
of
in
things?
Rijeka, and it was May 8th. And that was officially the end of the war. But the last month, when the partisans were in Sushak, and Germans were still in Rijeka, on the mountain. There was a lot of fighting going on, and street fighting. We spent most of the time in the shelter. And they were shooting from the other. I mean, now there is a building in front of this that would protect our building. But at that time, our building was it's just open toward the Rijeka, to where the German artillery was. And we got, I don't know how many bullets. I mean, they're talking about the granite, what do you call
Shells.
yeah, shells. They exploded on me, like a cheese used to be our building for the side. Why that? I mean, it was sticking out, you know. So one of the shells exploded in our bathroom. You know how the bathroom looks.
Yes.
Disappeared. We were in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all. And then of course, since these were shooting on the street, there were so many dead people it's just unbelievable. They're walking there. That I remember quite well.
Yeah. One moment that stands out from your story that you wrote was around that time in 1945 when the German soldiers and officers were arrested and they were walking down the street in front of your house. And you were standing at the curb watching, and you wrote that you felt bad for them. You're watching these suffering, imprisoned German soldiers, and one of them asked you for water, and you gave them water, and then your uncle was above you on the balcony and yelled, "Give them poison, not water."
That's right. That's true.
But yeah, to me, it's that moment stands out because, there's the layer of you had seen, that was the last place you also saw your parents moving down that street, but
exactly the same spot.
But also there's still that, these are the German soldiers, but there's this compassion there that you just feel for them.
If I saw SS, okay, I wouldn't do it. But I saw they were part of the army. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like a very human moment, like for you to I get the perspective of your uncle. Vatroslav is a bit more jaded. You're younger. There's more innocence. There maybe.
I was
more compassion.
Yeah, I was 15 years old. And I was there just by chance because I was still working in that storage of his hardware store. Whatever was left was right there across from the apartment. So that's why I was there. I wasn't there just to see the
to witness that.
To witness, no.
Yeah, it just happened to be that moment.
Oh, yeah, it's just that moment. I found myself, I don't know, did I go out or whatever I did? But I just happened to be there.
And you happened to have a cup of water?
I had that, yeah. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
The option was I could have spilled it, right?
Well, yeah, you could have drank it in front of him and made him watch.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't. Oh, this is.
Yeah.
a split second, right? But I remember that very
But
well.
but it's a big moment. I mean, it's
Yeah.
layered.
It's
I mean,
Yeah.
not something I'm going to forget.
yeah, not something I would forget either. Did you get to know Aunt Zdenka after the war as an adult?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
What was she
Met many
like?
times. Right?
What was she like to you as a family member?
Very nice. Very, yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
yeah, just I feel like she often gets
Yeah.
pedestalized. I mean, as this character who like saved your life
Yeah.
and saved
Yeah.
uh you know her husband from the Gestapo and
Oh,
did like
that was.
would have this way of
I don't know how that.
getting her way
Strong,
there.
very strong
Like,
personality.
it's just also something about her getting Tito relocated to a labor camp far
That's
away to a
right.
closer labor camp, and I don't
Same
even.
thing.
Yeah, and of course holding the whole family together and managing the household through the whole time, and
She was.
it's amazing. And so we're kind of
She.
curious to get to know like who was this person as a human,
Yeah,
as
as
As a
you're
human,
as you got to be an adult also, and you know.
I didn't even mention that she was just for her relaxation. She was playing piano every day.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
playing. He was a good player. I mean, not a pro, but good player. And I had play piano. Our piano was taken out. I don't know how much. And the furniture, everything was taken. And I think we were also, after the war, we didn't do the right thing to get our property back because nobody did. Nobody helped me. He didn't tell me what to do and how to do. Or maybe we couldn't have done. I don't know. Because this was our property and people were living there. When my parents left the house, they didn't sell it to anyone. Yeah. The same thing like Baka had to leave their apartments, and the other moved in, okay, but they were able then thereafter because Baka's mom was strong enough to fight for that after the war. That's also interesting things in life. So we basically, as I said, we gave away the house for 2 Fiat 750 because we bought one with that money, and then half of the price of the Fiat.
Yeah. This is your home your parents' home that you grew up in, and
Yeah.
then you and Aunt Zora
Anzora, yeah.
inherited it. Yeah.
You talk about home as something almost like transient because you earlier talked about finding your home
Yeah.
by finding my grandmother
Yeah.
and looking for familial love on the love that one person can have for a spouse or for a child.
Yeah.
And I must say it's home seems to be really family rather than a physical location because I know
Absolutely.
I've heard you say that you went back to that house
Yeah.
many years later,
Yeah,
you know,
many
in
years
Zagreb. stood in front of it and felt
Nothing.
nothing.
That's right.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I walked in, I was in the house. When Baka was at the dentist, this was 1 block walk.
How did you get into the house? People that were there?
They, where the apartment is, our apartment was occupied by the attorneys. Attorney's office was there. There was a person over there, rang the bell, and I told her, this is the place I was born. I'd like to see it if I can. And she let me in. That's it. She let me in. I walked through. I saw everything was more or less the same layout, modernized, but same layout, and walked out. And I have a picture among these. Do you have it? I can't. Theo took a lot of pictures from outside of the house, and I'd like to find these pictures.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's it. More?
No, that answered my question perfectly, actually.
Perfectly.
What did you love about your elementary school teacher, Anchitsa? Anchitsa Fleisch.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was nice. This is the school where nobody was ever hit. Because, if you do something wrong, we had a bench on the side in the class, which was called the jackets.
Yeah.
And if you did
sounds
something
bench.
wrong, you had to sit over there, watch the whole class, and the whole class watched you.
Yeah.
But nobody ever got. I don't know why they call it jackets.
What's the word in Croatian?
Magareća klupa.
Magareća klupa.
Magareća klupa.
And Magareća, that's
Magarac.
donkey?
Magarac is a donkey.
Okay,
Magarac.
Magarac is donkey.
Oh.
There's a literal translation.
Yeah. Jackets
Yeah.
bench.
Yeah.
And this is where I wound up sometimes when I was a kid. But she was very nice. And everybody loved her. I know one thing that in 1948, she went to Israel. She left. And then I didn't know anything about her later on.
You were so young. Do you remember your older brother? Any feelings around him?
Yeah, I remember.
What he said to you, anything like that?
I know he hit me
Yeah.
several times.
I have an older brother too.
No, I don't. I remember him playing piano. I remember him. He spoke pretty good German.
Yeah, the collection of plants, right?
Yeah, actually I have that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got it, but I still have it. He was a good student. He went to so-called classical gymnasium. Classical gymnasium was not gymnasium where you go. I mean, high school, where Latin and Greek are subjects that are besides math and Croatian and or one French or one language, other language. They are important. So that's classical. Yeah, this is what Anzora was also teaching Latin and Greek and French and Italian and German and English and Esperanto. Yeah. But this is, I really don't know much more about. I have a picture of him, you know. But and this was the year he got killed. Nothing much. I have some little like writing. He's writing. He was trying to write little stories.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I have some of his writings. I don't know how did I get them. I don't even know how I got them, but I have them. Nothing to publish, but it's interesting that he was writing and his teacher probably Croatian was critique that. So I have that. I wish I knew more about him.
What inspired you to name your son Mladen after your brother?
My aunt that Mladen should get the name of my brother. She should. So I don't know. It's not customary to give the name in Jewish religion generally, but if somebody passed away, yes, you can do that. But normally there is no, let's say, like Alexander the First and the Second and the Third, and that doesn't. Okay, or Jacob,
Yeah.
or like we have in with Isaac, right?
Well, that is distinctly Anglo-Saxon. You know,
Yeah,
I have a
but
friend,
that
just the same thing.
it's not. This is a religious thing, so it's not. We don't. But we gave it okay to Mladen. So that's the reason.
Aunt Zora, though, requested that Zora had shared her
She
perspective.
never requested. She said
Yeah.
it would be right thing. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
If I may ask,
You may.
although this is completely, this is a change of topic, but I've always wondered, what did you and Baca think of primary education, or I should ask, the education in the United States for my father? What did you have any thoughts on his curriculum, on what he was learning here, as compared to education in the old Yugoslavia or in Europe?
I would say, generally speaking, education. We in Zagreb at that time, probably in Europe, was very good compared to American way. I'm talking elementary school.
Of course.
I really don't. Further on, it's different. Because here, it is just amazing how quickly both Daniela and Mladen, both of them, they were excelled immediately here. Spelling was not a problem. She was just amazing. But there is a lot of this, the education in the elementary school, that was a lot of was writing, spelling, a lot of spelling, a lot of spelling. There is no spelling in Croatia because that is easy. It's a 100% phonetic language. Phonetic means the way you pronounce it in the alphabet. This is how you pronounce it in the word too. So
you figure it out. You don't need to learn spelling.
that's quick. Once you learn the alphabet, you know that your spelling, because A is A. A is not A, U, A.
Yeah.
Well, there is no. I is I. E. E is E. And there are some letters that are not like LJ is L, NJ is N. There is a G, this is a D with a little, but it's pronounced G. If it's a Z with a, there are Z with the hook is J. If it's a J and J together, then it's a hard J. Very okay. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Double. These are double sounds, but they are again phonetic. Then this is the easy part, which children learn over there. I would say that they didn't have any problems here.
I know and have met my father's friends, most of them. Some of them even from high school.
Yeah.
I know that you have met some of my father's friends, troublemakers that they were. What were your thoughts, if any, on my father's high school experience in the United States? I know he traveled a long way to Stuyvesant. What were your thoughts, if any, on his activities, his friends, the life that he was living here?
Basically, we liked his friends. However, what they didn't like is that experimenting with,
of course,
smoking. He didn't smoke actually much cigarettes, but he smoked pot. Okay. And
did you know what that was before?
No. What the heck? I was baka. I didn't know what a pot was.
I brought some cigarettes to the office and asked, is this pot? They told me, no, these are all cigarettes. He rolled the cigarettes.
okay.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. What dear? I think I mentioned wrote about doctors that we had in Zagreb. I mean, this was spoken word, right or wrong, that some of the doctors were using drugs. I mean, drugs because
This was not.
That was available. Normally drugs were not available to average person at that time. Cigarettes were.
What were your thoughts on college? In those days, not everybody went to university in the first place, and I feel that my father went to high school, went to Stuyvesant, went right off to State University.
Yeah.
Was this always a goal for you and Baca, for my father and also your mother?
Yeah. We, say again, what is that? What was the question actually?
Was it always a goal for you and Baca to send Mladen and Daniela to university here?
No. No, we didn't think about this.
So even when you came here, this wasn't like
When we came here, we just, I mean, you got to get some education. I mean, you can't really live in a society without education.
Yeah.
That's a must. You have to go. You have to have an education.
Enough to have a career. Like, yeah, it's like,
Not career. We didn't plan their
this is
career
interesting.
at all.
see.
yeah, yeah.
How can you play somebody's career? I mean, there are people who will, you will become a doctor, and then you don't become a doctor, and I can't. This is not the way to do it.
Yeah. And you knew that as a parent.
Oh, we definitely knew.
Yeah.
We definitely knew that. Never forced anything. But they were good. It's just generally good.
And was your parenting approach like sort of hands off, like, and just they just took to the education well, or how did you encourage? Did you do things to encourage them to excel or to move in different directions?
You know, we were learning together with them many things. And then many times we wanted to understand, how people learn. I mean, elementary school is different, but when you get to higher school, and particularly the fact that college really is an extension of the high school in America. Just if you don't know what you're going to be or what you're going to do, this is purely an additional. I mean, you learn a lot. Inevitably, somebody a lot, somebody less. I mean, but you learn. I mean, you continue learning the subject of general nature. I mean, you educate yourself. But this is history, or unless you want to be specific and you orient yourself, I don't know, to physics, mathematics, or any other subject for that matter. In Europe, it's a different story. You decide after your graduation of high school what you're going to be. Doesn't necessarily mean you'll succeed, but you decide. And then, once you finish, you can go to a graduate school if you want to, but you're done. Like in an engineering school, like I went to an engineering. Once I finished, I got my diploma. Not that I know everything. I knew nothing, really. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. That's the way I felt, I mean, most of the kids. I finished, I graduated my engineering, and then I said, oh, now I know. No, you didn't know anything. Now you got to start working to find out what is what. Specialize. Okay, that's why then graduate school would help. But in basically, you have to decide. This a difficult thing for a person, 18 years of age, to decide what you're going to be. How the heck you going to decide? You really, unless you have a specific interest. Yeah, we have in my class still in high school. I had one guy who was a polyglot, born polyglot, who spoke every European language. I don't know, how can you do this? I mean, because he was interested in that. Fantastic. He went to Australia and continued the same thing, learning Australian and over there languages. Became nothing, but enjoying his life, learning more languages. Just for his satisfaction. Interesting.
Yeah, I often find I learn so much about the world by learning other languages
Yeah.
because there's so much embedded in them,
Oh yeah.
different perspectives.
Yeah. But that was him. I mean, he wasn't productive in a sense that he didn't give anything back to the society. But he loved what he was doing.
Data. On a similar topic, I must ask. I identify and have traditionally identified both my grandparents with travel.
Yeah.
You have traveled all over the world. Your refrigerator is filled with magnets.
Yeah.
From
so
all over
is
there.
ours. Oh, thank you. You got it.
Oh, thank you.
The house I was born in. And you can see that over there, this top, the second floor, what you see, this was our apartment, modernized. Thank you, Ivica.
And your grandfather
Thank you.
lived on the bottom
My
floor.
grandfather used to live this here, right here, and that was one room, one little kitchen, and the toilet in the corridor. I mean, today this here is, if you see this, did you increase this? You see that the law office is here. Okay.
I did. I saw you underneath it.
You see? And I'm standing there.
I recognize that man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? The fence is still the same as my grandfather did it. Same thing. Incredible. But there was the driveway is not the driveway anymore. Now it's the driveway. It used to be two big steps.
Yeah.
That's it. The car
So you wouldn't be able.
The car couldn't get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no entrance. You can see there is no entrance. You enter into the house from the backyard.
What was your last question, Alex?
This was amazing.
I have always identified you and Baca with travel. You've been to all of these places. Why do you think travel has played such a large part of your life in retirement and even beforehand? Why have you always loved to travel, and maybe what have you taken from your experiences?
Traveling also enlarges your, I mean, not that this helps the society, but it helped us to see, to learn a little bit more about the way other people live. We traveled before. I traveled on business also, and then this opens your horizon. I mean, otherwise, if you live in a society which is a closed society, like a communistic was, this is like a horse with the blinds, or you have a tunnel vision. You think that nothing exists. Until we started to travel, then you see how the other people live. And then once you go to one place, then you are curious how the other place looks like, how the other, and you gotta really take it with a grain of salt when traveling, because you're a tourist. What do people show you? Always the better part of, okay? And they talk about, well, I mean, then you want to see also places like we saw in South Africa, in Mexico, Shandy Town, and and you saw it is in Mexico probably, right? But in South Africa, terrible. I mean, the way some people live. Now when somebody talks about this, you have some feelings. I mean, you look different at people, and people in the nation. I mean, it's an important factor. We enjoyed traveling. We enjoyed preparing for that. We enjoyed when it's well organized. And of course you can afford it. I mean, otherwise you couldn't do it. That's about it. Now we cannot travel anymore. And the only reason why we cannot travel, although I would say that travel now to
Colorado.
to Colorado,
Yeah.
that was well organized.
Thank you, family.
So we traveled like suitcases, two of us. Yeah. That was that was. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to go. I cannot, we cannot walk. In the airport, you have to have a wheelchair, and I cannot carry luggage anymore. That's it. That is, and besides, we are worried always about moving far away from our doctors. Another reason why not to travel anymore.
Yeah.
Although I would like to go, and Baka also, we were talking about, we would like to go to Zagreb. I would like to.
We need to take Jacob along so that he takes care of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suitcases.
Can do that.
Suitcases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
way we traveled. Yeah.
This is how
So-
our friend Jovis and Lisa come and their children and with them and they took them everywhere.
Yeah. That's
Okay, you're done?
I have a couple
No.
more.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
If you're in for it.
Yeah.
So the two of you, you met Baka, Eva, and I guess around 70 years ago now, and got married after dating or got engaged at least after 8 months of dating.
Yeah.
You mentioned in what you wrote that your relationship hasn't always been a smooth ride, but that disagreement shouldn't lead to divorce. If it's handled right,
Yeah.
it ultimately should bring a couple and family closer together.
Yeah.
So I would love if you could share a time in your relationship with Baca or with your family in which conflict or challenge brought you closer together, and how did you navigate it?
That's a tough one.
I know I know only one thing that when I was nagging or something, he used to explode. And that was so funny to me that I started laughing. And that was the end of the.
Yeah. No, I mean, uh, there is nothing drastic. I may,
Minor thing.
minor, yeah. Disagreements. I mean, this is normal in life.
Mm-hmm.
We never disagreed on anything big, let's put it this way.
Yeah, well, big things are, I don't know, big. It,
The bigger thing
Well-
was buying a house on Long Island because I wanted it. And Grandpa didn't want it.
and I still didn't like it, and I still don't like it. Okay.
Historical grievance.
But
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, I guess it's not always conflicts. I also think about just challenges that, like one being you all moving as a family to the U.S. is like, I imagine is very challenging.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's yes.
There was challenging also when I went for the interview here, and I didn't describe that. When I came in 1968, I was in the United States, and I went for an interview at ITT, International Telephone and Telegraph. Doesn't exist anymore. And they said over there, I don't know who was that, somebody from Human Resources or some of the engineers. He said, you can start today. We have a factory in Puerto Rico. We'll bring your family and whatever you want with your to the United States. We need you there. I wrote a letter back because I couldn't ring, right? I wrote a letter to Baca, and this is what I got.
This was while you were in Yugoslavia.
No, this is when I was here.
When you were here. Oh.
Yeah, in
Oh,
1968,
before
1 year
okay.
before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was visiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was still here visiting,
Yeah.
and I went for the interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wrote a letter. So Baca said, you know what, if you stay, they won't let me out with the children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Come back, we'll go together.
Mm-hmm.
That's this was one of the
Big decisions.
big things. And I went because who the heck knows what would happen? I mean, this is hard. It was a tough decision.
Yeah.
I got an offer which I could have taken, but didn't. This is just an example, But it's a big thing.
Yeah, and moving in general to this
Moving
whole
in
new part of the
general-
part of the world where the language is challenging. You
Tell
have
me
some
about
family
it.
here, but most of your family and community is there. Like, were you and Baca on the same page about that decision, or how was it to navigate?
Well, we were not
yeah.
exactly the same page.
The way you tell the story, it was like, oh yeah, we just
You know
like,
what?
okay, let's do it.
When you at that age, I was 38, I wasn't young anymore.
Yeah.
By today's standard, no. I was young, but young. And I still felt indestructible, almost. That's the way when you're young. Okay?
And I think we were quite brave.
Altogether,
That's
it's
really interesting.
This
I
is
never saw it. Not for a minute, at least not me. You neither. Because I know Miro and Soya, but they would have gone back in no time. They were so homesick for Yugoslavia. We never were.
yeah. Oh, once you break the bridges, it's hard to. You don't want to rebuild them. And that was the time when we decided to go. But you can't be here and there at the same time. You got to, this firm decision. This is there are other challenges, but that's,
For instance, one of the challenges
But-
for Grandpa was living with my mother. That's for sure.
It was a
Because
good point.
they had a permanent war.
Oh my.
Not permanent war, but some disagreements, yeah.
And if we have a disagreement, my mother stood on his side.
Unbelievable.
There's an order of operations.
Yeah.
No.
So,
So it's very hard. I didn't mean to be specific,
yeah.
but I wanted just to say this is the life.
Yeah.
You cannot take consequences from every word what one says or
Yeah.
one says.
This
Yes.
doesn't mean, I don't know, I said the divorce, I don't know what I said. When you write, but
Yeah.
philosophically, yeah, that's what it is. Whether this is family or is a socially, so there are many people who, you see, you have brothers, they talk to brothers, or either brothers to sisters. I mean, why? I mean, you have to find a way. I'm talking about within the family.
Yeah.
You have that situation.
Oh, you
with
have
your
you
sister.
have situation with your aunt, right? Or the aunt, or no, grandma's.
Cousin.
Well, yeah. Like my
Mo-
great aunt
Monica.
and
Great aunt,
and-
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
And even the brother who lives in Fleischmann's.
Yeah.
so I mean,
No,
why?
family
I mean,
feeling.
that's
On the other hand, your family is very close, and that's very nice.
You are my family.
yeah. And we, I mean, we and I mean, we cherish that. I would hate to see disagreement to a point that everything falls apart, that you don't talk anymore, don't communicate anymore. Well, it's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I always have I've thought about, thinking about conflict and how to navigate conflict. I often
Yeah.
think about how sometimes if people are too conflict averse, it's like being conflict averse actually leads to those types of situations. Whereas if you're willing to, if you actually are comfortable just leaning into conflict when it comes up and letting it play out, and then
Yeah.
you can be,
Yeah.
then you work through it and you can move on.
Yeah.
It's actually can be healthier.
Yeah.
You have 5 great grandchildren now. What's it like to spend time with them?
Fantastic. When we have
You
a
know,
chance.
yeah, I wish we could do more physically.
Yeah.
Emotionally, very, very much. But physically, like I was holding yesterday, not Isabel,
Liana.
Liana.
Yeah.
I would like to carry her, and she would stop crying, like your mom did.
Yeah.
But
We
I
are
cannot do this
We are
anymore.
still blessed for
Be-
having them.
Yeah.
That we live
The,
to
the,
see
the
them.
problem is that I'm hurting,
Yeah.
and I well, there is when I start hurting, I have to sit down.
Yeah. So there's
That's
the
that's
physical limitation.
physical,
but-
physical, yeah, not emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had wonderful time with Queen now in Colorado, but the same thing. We watched him, we observed him, and ran after him. Not ran, literally. But
No, that was good, out in a lodge. Yeah, because he was moving around. I was able to walk
Yeah.
a little bit around him.
Yeah. I just think about how you've gone through this journey of your life from losing family to building family, and just how it's growing. And
This is
what-
was the to me that was the
I never met my grandparents on my father's side. I have pictures of them, but
yeah.
they were dead before my parents got married. So I think it's fantastic that we can see our grandchildren grow up, and now we live in
I don't think that our great grandchildren will remember us, but maybe they get some pictures probably, you know. But the
see.
grandchildren,
They might.
yeah,
That's how
and
it
and I love it.
And you kids are certainly very blessed that you had both sets of grandparents and
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm
right.
very blessed.
Unusual.
Still very blessed to have you
Yeah,
and both of you here. And yeah, I could keep asking you questions because there's more.
Next
But
time.
Yeah,
You'll
but
have
but
to-
it's all we
Yeah.
can't do it all right now, all
I
all at
agree.
once. So
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you for sitting down. Thank you, Alex, for being part of it.
thank you, guys. You know, I enjoyed it.
Very
I enjoyed
important.
talking to you, and I'm sure that you will have more questions, but we are still here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say more about certain things
Mm-hmm.
because I really don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, there's always things
I
you
could
don't know.
find out, on my uncle Nazi more because Miro wrote
Yeah.
this, but otherwise,
Okay. Well, we're finishing up. We'll be right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't start again.
Again, no.
We're not starting again.
Okay,
Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
that's it.